The thing about being called the smallest man by your own wife is that it stings exactly once. After that, it just becomes fuel. Tonight, watching Talia giggle with her friends as she passed around photos of me in my underwear, I realized I'd been collecting fuel for months without even knowing it. Seriously, how did I even marry this guy? Talia said, holding up her phone to show Jenna and Danny a picture she'd taken of me getting dressed this morning. Look at those chicken legs! They erupted in laughter. Jenna nearly choked on her wine. Danny covered her mouth but couldn't hide the smirk. I stood in the kitchen doorway, holding a tray of appetizers I'd spent 2 hours preparing for these vultures, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, something much more useful. "Ladies," I said, setting the tray down with a smile. "Enjoying the show?" Talia's face went red. "Evan, we were just having a laugh at my expense." "I get it." I picked up a stuffed mushroom and took a bite. "You know what they say about small men, right?" The room went quiet. "We make up for it in other ways." I looked directly at Talia, like remembering everything. "My name is Evan Porter. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a software architect for a mid-sized tech company in Columbus, Ohio. I make decent money, I'm reasonably intelligent, and according to my wife of 7 years, I'm apparently the punchline to a joke I didn't know I was part of. The morning after the photo incident, I sat in my home office pretending to work while actually doing something much more interesting. Paying attention. Really paying attention, for the first time in months. Talia was in the shower, and her phone sat on the nightstand, buzzing with notifications. She'd left it unlocked, a mistake she'd been making more and more lately. I walked over and glanced at the screen. The messages were from someone named CT, with a flame emoji. "Can't wait to see you at the gym today. Wear the blue sports bra. Your husband doesn't deserve you. When are you going to leave that loser?" I took screenshots. 3 of them. Then I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it. In the shower, Talia was humming. She'd been humming a lot lately, now that I thought about it. Happy little tunes while she got ready to go work out at the gym she'd joined 6 months ago. "Morning, babe," she said when she came out, towel wrapped around her, looking refreshed and glowing. "Sleep well?" "Like a baby," I said. "Big day at the gym today?" "Just the usual. Cardio, maybe some weights." She was already reaching for her phone. "Jenna might meet me there later." "That's nice. Tell her I said hi." "Sure thing." She kissed my cheek, a quick perfunctory peck, and headed to the closet. I watched her pull out the blue sports bra. At work, I showed the screenshots to my friend Derek, who sits in the cube next to mine. Derek's been my closest friend since college, the kind of guy who will tell you the truth even when it hurts. Jesus, Evan. He stared at his screen, scrolling through the messages. "How long has this been going on?" "Good question. I'm thinking I should find out." "You going to confront her?" "Eventually, but first, I want to know who CT is." Derek leaned back in his chair. "CT, could be anyone. Chad, Chris, Connor." "Colton," I said. I remember her mentioning a trainer named Colton, said he was really motivating. Motivating, right. Derek shook his head. "Man, I'm sorry. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to be smart about it. Document everything. Build a case." "A case for what?" I looked at him and smiled. "For being the smallest man who ever made the biggest impact." That afternoon, I did something I'd never done before. I drove to Talia's gym. It's called Peak Fitness, one of those trendy places with exposed brick walls and loud music. I parked across the street and waited. At 3:47 p.m., Talia's Honda Civic pulled into the parking lot. She got out wearing the blue sports bra and tight black leggings, looking like she was ready for a magazine shoot rather than a workout. At 3:52 p.m., a guy in a red Mustang convertible pulled up next to her car. He was tall, muscular, with the kind of perfectly sculpted arms that come from making fitness your entire personality. He had CT written all over him. They didn't kiss, but the way they looked at each other said everything. the way she touched his arm, the way he leaned in close to whisper something that made her laugh. I took photos. Lots of them. When I got home that evening, Talia was already there, looking tired and sweaty in a way that seemed genuine. "Good workout?" I asked. "Exhausting. Colton really pushed me today." "Colton's your trainer?" "Yeah, I think I mentioned him before. He's really good at motivation." "I bet he is." She gave me a strange look. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just that motivation is important." I smiled. "Want me to make dinner?" "That would be great. I'm going to shower." While she was upstairs, I went through her gym bag. In the side pocket, I found a folded piece of paper with a phone number and a note. "For when you're ready to upgrade. C." I photographed the note, then put it back exactly where I'd found it. Over the next week, I became a detective in my own life. I tracked Talia's location through our shared phone plan. I noticed patterns: Tuesday and Thursday gym sessions that lasted 3 hours. Friday girls' nights that ended with her coming home smelling like cologne that definitely wasn't mine. I also started paying attention to her friends. Jenna and Danny weren't just enablers. They were active participants in whatever game Talia was playing. The breakthrough came when I overheard a phone conversation. I know, Talia was saying, pacing around our bedroom while I pretended to be asleep. "But it's complicated. Evan's not stupid, and the house is in his name." Pause. "No, Colton, I can't just leave. There's money involved, and his job has great benefits." Another pause. "Of course I love you more than him. Are you kidding? Have you seen my husband? You're twice the man he is in every way that matters." She laughed at something he said. "Size matters, baby, in all departments, and Evan's definitely not winning any contests." I lay there in the dark, listening to my wife discuss my inadequacies with her lover, and felt that cold feeling in my chest crystallize into something harder. The smallest man, huh? We'd see about that. The next morning, I did something that surprised even me. I joined Peak Fitness. "Welcome to Peak," said the overly enthusiastic girl at the front desk. Her name tag read, Madison. "Are you looking for personal training? We have some amazing trainers here. Actually, I heard great things about someone named Colton. Is he available?" Madison's smile got even brighter. "Oh, Colton's the best. He's with a client right now, but I can introduce you after." Perfect. I spent 45 minutes on various machines, watching and waiting. At 10:30 a.m., Colton emerged from the wait area with an older woman who was clearly smitten with his attention. He was exactly what I'd expected. 6'2", perfectly tanned, with the kind of smile that probably worked on every woman he met. Except he'd picked the wrong woman this time. "Colton!" Madison waved him over. "This is Evan. He's interested in personal training." Colton extended his hand with practiced charm. "Hey there, Evan. Great to meet you, man. Looking to get in shape?" I shook his hand, noting the firm grip, the confident eye contact. "You could say that. My wife's been raving about this place. Talia Porter? Maybe you know her." For just a split second, his smile faltered. "Talia? Yeah, I think I know Talia. Blonde, really motivated?" "That's her. She says you're very hands-on with your training approach." The smile was back, but his eyes had changed. "I try to give all my clients personal attention." "I bet you do." I picked up a protein shake from the counter display. "Must be rewarding, helping people reach their peak performance. Getting them to try new positions. New exercises." Colton's jaw tightened slightly. "Yeah, it's all about finding the right fit." "Speaking of fit," I said, pretending to examine the shake bottle. "Talia mentioned you've been helping her with some very specific stretches, really getting deep into the muscle groups." "Look, man." "Oh, don't worry," I interrupted, then did something I'd been planning all week. I accidentally knocked his protein shake out of his hand. It splattered across the floor and onto his pristine white sneakers. "Oops. Sorry about that." The entire gym seemed to stop and stare. Colton looked down at his soaked shoes, then back at me. For a moment, I thought he might actually take a swing. Instead, he forced that smile back onto his face. No problem. Accidents happen. They sure do, I said. Sometimes people don't see them coming until it's too late. I left him standing there in a puddle of protein shake while the entire gym watched. Madison was already rushing over with towels, apologizing profusely. As I walked out, I heard Colton ask her, "Do you have that guy's contact information?" "Of course, he's Evan Porter. His emergency contact is his wife, Talia Porter." I smiled all the way to my car. That evening, Talia came home from her workout, looking agitated. "How was the gym?" I asked innocently. "Fine. Just fine." "Run into anyone interesting?" She shot me a sharp look. "What do you mean?" "Nothing specific, just wondering if you met any new people, made any new connections." "Evan, what's going on? You're acting weird." I set down my coffee and looked at her directly. "Am I? I thought I was just taking more interest in your hobbies. Maybe I should start working out too. Get in shape. You know, try to measure up." "Measure up to what?" "To your standards. I'd hate to be found lacking." Talia stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed her phone and headed upstairs. "I'm tired. I'm going to bed early." "Sweet dreams," I called after her. 20 minutes later, I heard her on the phone again, but this time she was being much more careful about volume. I crept up the stairs and listened outside our bedroom door. Don't know how he found out, but he definitely knows something. No, he didn't say anything directly, but he was at the gym today. "What do you mean, what did he look like?" "He's my husband, Colton." "Yes, the short one with dark hair." "What do you mean he spilled something on you? That wasn't an accident?" I smiled and went back downstairs. The next day at work, Derek found me in the break room. "You look pleased with yourself," he said. "I had a good morning workout." "Since when do you work out?" "Since I decided to stop being the smallest man in the room." I told him about the gym encounter. Derek shook his head, but he was grinning. "You're playing with fire, you know that?" "Maybe. But I'm not the one who lit the match." "What's your next move?" "I'm going to give Talia's boyfriend's girlfriend a call." Derek nearly choked on his coffee. "He has a girlfriend?" "Oh, yes. Her name is Vanessa. I found her Instagram through his tagged photos. They've been together for 2 years. She has no idea he's been training my wife." "Jesus, Evan, you're going nuclear." "No," I said, pulling out my phone to show him the screenshots I'd been collecting. "Nuclear is what's coming next." Vanessa Martinez was not what I expected. When she agreed to meet me at a coffee shop downtown, I'd pictured another gym bunny, someone who might be understanding about her boyfriend's wandering eye. Instead, I met a sharp-eyed accountant who listened to my story with the kind of focused attention usually reserved for tax audits. "You're telling me Colton has been sleeping with your wife," she said, scrolling through the screenshots on my phone. "For at least 3 months based on what I can prove, possibly longer." She handed my phone back and sat quietly for a moment, staring out the window. "I knew something was wrong," she said finally. "He's been distant lately. Coming home late, always on his phone. And the smell. Different perfume? Different everything. He used to smell like the gym and his cologne. Lately, he smells like someone else's shampoo, someone else's soap." She looked at me directly. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing. I just thought you deserved to know." "Bullshit." But she said it without anger. "You want something or you wouldn't be here. What is it?" I had to admire her directness. "I want him to face consequences, real ones, not just a slap on the wrist." "And you think I can deliver those consequences?" "I think you know him better than anyone. You know what would hurt him most." Vanessa smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "His reputation. Everything is about his image, his brand. He's trying to become some kind of fitness influencer, get sponsorship deals." "That's interesting." It would be a shame if people found out he was sleeping with married clients. A real shame. We shook hands. I liked Vanessa. The next phase of my plan required patience. I spent the weekend setting up what I privately called the documentation phase. I installed a dash cam in my car, started carrying a small digital recorder, and began taking detailed notes of everything. Monday morning brought the first real fireworks. I was at my desk when Derek rushed over, practically vibrating with excitement. "Dude, you need to see this." He showed me his phone. It was Instagram, Vanessa's account. She'd posted a series of screenshots, text messages between her and Colton, photos of him with other women, and a long caption that started with, "Ladies, if your personal trainer is getting a little too personal, you might want to ask his girlfriend how that usually works out." The post had over 200 comments already, and it was growing fast. She tagged the gym, Derek pointed out, and about 15 other fitness accounts. My phone buzzed. Text from Talia. "Can you come home? It's important." I found her in our living room, pacing like a caged animal. Her phone was in her hand, and she looked like she'd been crying. "We need to talk," she said. "Okay. There are some rumors going around about Colton." "What kind of rumors?" "People are saying he's been inappropriate with clients, that he's a cheater." I sat down on the couch. "That's terrible. Do you think it's true?" Talia's hands were shaking. "I don't know. Maybe. There might be some truth to it." "Might be?" "Okay, yes, there's truth to it." She sat down across from me, tears starting to flow. "Evan, I made a mistake. A huge mistake." "What kind of mistake?" I've been seeing Colton, sleeping with him." I let the silence stretch out. Finally, I said, "How long?" 4 months. "And you're telling me this now because his girlfriend found out and she's destroying him online. Because I'm scared it's going to come back on me. Because..." She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "Because I think I love him." There it was. The truth, finally. "You love him." "Yes." "But you're scared about the consequences." "Yes." "Not scared about hurting me. Not sorry about betraying our marriage. Just scared about getting caught." Talia's face crumpled. It's not that simple." "It sounds pretty simple to me." I stood up. "You've been cheating on me for 4 months with a guy who's apparently been cheating on his girlfriend with multiple women, including you. Now that it's public, you're worried about your reputation. What are you going to do?" I looked at her for a long moment. 7 years of marriage, 7 years of building a life together, 7 years of thinking I knew who she was. "I'm going to make some phone calls," I said. The first call was to a divorce attorney. The second was to my boss, letting him know I might need some personal time. The third was to my bank, transferring our joint savings into an account with only my name on it. The fourth call was to Talia's office. "Hi, this is Evan Porter, Talia Porter's husband. I need to speak with someone in HR about a sensitive matter involving my wife's conduct." Talia worked for a mid-sized marketing firm downtown, the kind of place that prided itself on maintaining a professional image and family values. They did not take kindly to learning that one of their employees had been sharing intimate photos of her husband without consent and conducting an extramarital affair that was now blowing up social media. "Mrs. Porter," said Linda Frey, the HR director, when she called Talia into the office Wednesday morning. "We need to discuss some concerning information that's come to our attention." I know this because Talia called me immediately afterward, sobbing into the phone. "They fired me," she said. "They actually fired me." "Why?" "They said sharing private photos without consent created a liability issue. And the social media stuff with Colton, they said it reflected poorly on the company's values." "That's rough." "That's rough? That's all you have to say?" "What would you like me to say, Talia?" "I don't know. Something. Anything. This is destroying my life." "No," I said quietly. You destroyed your life. I'm just not cleaning up the mess anymore." She hung up on me. By Thursday, the story had taken on a life of its own. Vanessa had been busy. She'd found 3 other women who'd had affairs with Colton, including another married woman and a teenager who'd just turned 18. She'd created a whole Instagram story series called Colton's Conquests that was being shared across fitness and gossip accounts. Peak Fitness fired Colton that afternoon. Derek found me at lunch, scrolling through the latest updates. "This is insane," he said, looking over my shoulder. "Look at this comment thread." I looked. Someone had posted, "Isn't this the same Colton Brewer who was bragging at Murphy's bar last month about sleeping with some rich married chick? Said her husband was a total loser who didn't even know what was happening?" Another reply, "OMG, yes. He was showing photos and everything. So gross." "Murphy's bar," I said. "That's where Talia and her friends go for girls' night." "You think he was there the same time as them?" "I think Colton's been very careless about a lot of things." That evening, Talia came home with 2 suitcases. "I'm staying at my parents' for a while," she announced, "probably for the best." "This isn't over, Evan. We need to talk about this like adults." "We are talking about it like adults. You cheated, you got caught, and now you're facing consequences. Very adult. You orchestrated this whole thing, didn't you?" I looked up from my laptop. "I documented what was already happening. I didn't make you cheat. I didn't make Colton cheat. I didn't make either of you sloppy about it. You ruined my life. You ruined your own life. I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening." She stared at me with something that might have been hatred. "I never knew you could be this cold. I never knew you could be this cruel." Guess we both learned something new. After she left, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat in my quiet house, thinking about the next phase. Because this wasn't over. Not yet. Friday brought a new development. Jenna and Danny, Talia's loyal friends and enablers, decided to stage an intervention. They showed up at my office, marching past the receptionist like they owned the place. "We need to talk," Jenna announced, standing in front of my desk. "Ladies, to what do I owe the pleasure?" "You know exactly why we're here," Danny said. "What you did to Talia is unforgivable." "What I did to Talia?" "Don't play dumb," Jenna snapped. "The whole thing with Colton's girlfriend, getting her fired, destroying her reputation, that was all you." I leaned back in my chair. "Actually, that was all Talia. I just stopped covering for her. She made one mistake. 4 months of mistakes. With a guy who was cheating on his girlfriend with multiple women, while sharing private photos of me and mocking our marriage to anyone who would listen." Danny's face was flushed with anger. "She was unhappy. You weren't meeting her needs. So the solution was public humiliation and adultery? The solution was finding someone who appreciated her. Someone who was also cheating on his girlfriend of 2 years?" They exchanged glances. I could see them realizing that their defense of Talia wasn't as solid as they'd thought. "Look," Jenna said, trying a different approach. "Talia loves you. She made a mistake, but she wants to work things out." "Does she? Because when I asked her about it, she said she loved Colton." She was confused. She was honest, for the first time in months. I stood up and walked around my desk to face them directly. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'm going to file for divorce. Talia's going to sign the papers. We're going to divide our assets according to Ohio law, which heavily favors the spouse who wasn't committing adultery. And then we're all going to move on with our lives." "And if she doesn't want to sign?" Danny asked. I smiled. "Then this gets much more public and much more expensive. For her." They left without another word. But I knew they weren't done. Jenna and Danny had been Talia's partners in this whole thing, and they weren't going to let their friend go down without a fight. Which was fine with me. I was just getting started. What I hadn't expected was for Vanessa to call me. "We need to meet," she said. "There's something you should know." We met at the same coffee shop as before. This time, Vanessa had a manila folder with her. I've been digging deeper into Colton's activities. she said, opening the folder. And I found something interesting about your wife's friends. She spread out printed screenshots and photos across the table. Jenna Morrison, married to David Morrison, 2 kids. She's been having an affair with her boss for 6 months. Danny Pruitt, engaged to some guy named Marcus. She's been sleeping with her personal trainer, not Colton, a different one, and stealing money from the nonprofit where she works. I stared at the evidence. How did you find all this? I'm an accountant, remember? I'm very good at finding things people want to hide. Plus, Colton kept trophies. Trophies? Photos, screenshots, recordings. He documented everything, probably for blackmail later. These women weren't just enablers for your wife. They were all cheating together. Like a little club. Why are you showing me this? Vanessa's smile was sharp. Because they came to my office yesterday and threatened me. Said if I didn't stop posting about Colton, they'd make my life very difficult. And I don't respond well to threats. I looked at the evidence again. What do you want to do with this? I want to make sure everyone faces appropriate consequences for their actions. Everyone? Everyone. I had to admire her thoroughness. We spent the next hour planning what Vanessa called Operation Accountability. It was elegant in its simplicity. We would present each woman with evidence of her activities and give her a choice. Come clean to their families and employers voluntarily, or have the information released publicly. Starting with Jenna, Vanessa said. She seems to be the ringleader. Agreed. That weekend, I got a call from Talia. We need to talk, she said. In person. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me at Murphy's Bar tonight at 8. Murphy's Bar was interesting choice. The same place where Colton had apparently bragged about their affair. I wondered if she knew that. I arrived at 7:45 and found Talia already there, sitting in a corner booth. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt I'd never seen before. Thanks for coming, she said. What do you want, Talia? I want to fix this. Fix what? Our marriage. This whole situation. I know I screwed up, but we can work through this. I sat down across from her. Can we? Yes. I've been thinking about it a lot. What I had with Colton wasn't real. It was just excitement, novelty. But what we have is real. What we had was real. Past tense. Don't say that. Talia, you told me you loved him. I was confused. You shared private photos of me with your friends. You mocked our marriage to strangers. You spent 4 months lying to my face every single day. Her eyes filled with tears. I know I hurt you. But people make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Hundreds of choices. Over months. So what, that's it? 7 years of marriage down the drain? I looked around the bar. It was crowded, noisy, full of people living their lives without drama or betrayal. Tell me something, I said. That night when you and your friends were passing around photos of me, laughing about my body, making jokes about my size, how did that feel? She looked down at the table. I was drunk. How did it feel, Talia? It felt good, in the moment. Why? Because I was angry at you, for being boring, for being predictable, for being... She trailed off. For being small. Yes. Finally, the truth. And now? I asked. Now I realize that boring and predictable isn't so bad. That small doesn't mean worthless. Wow, what a romantic declaration. She reached across the table for my hand. I pulled it back. Evan, please, I'll do anything to fix this. Anything? Yes? Will you call Jenna and Danny right now and tell them to stop harassing Vanessa? Her face went pale. What? Colton's ex-girlfriend. Your friends have been threatening her, trying to get her to stop posting about the affair. I don't know anything about that. Call them, right now. Talia stared at me for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. She dialed Jenna's number. Jenna? It's me. No, I'm with Evan. Listen, about that thing with Vanessa. Yeah, I need you to stop. I don't care what you think, just stop. Because I'm asking you to. What do you mean, why am I protecting her? She looked at me, confusion written all over her face. Because, she said slowly, it's the right thing to do. She hung up and looked at me hopefully. There. I did it. Good start. Now call your boss and tell them you lied about the circumstances of your firing. What? No, I can't do that. Why not? Because then I'll never get another job in marketing. So you want to fix our marriage, but only if it doesn't cost you anything. It's not the same thing. I stood up. Yes, it is. It's exactly the same thing. Where are you going? Home, my home, where I'm going to finish packing your things. Evan, wait! But I was already walking away. Monday morning brought chaos. I arrived at work to find Derek waiting by my desk with a grim expression. We've got a problem, he said. What kind of problem? The kind where your wife and her boyfriend show up at your office building at 7 a.m. demanding to see you. I looked out the window. Sure enough, there was Talia's Honda in the parking lot, and next to it, a beat-up Toyota that probably belonged to Colton. They're in the lobby, Derek continued. Security won't let them up without your permission. What do they want? According to the front desk, they want to discuss the situation like adults. I almost laughed. Tell security I'll be right down. The lobby of our building is all glass and marble, designed to impress clients. It was not designed for domestic drama, but that's what it was about to get. Talia and Colton were sitting on opposite ends of a leather couch, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. When they saw me, they both stood up. Evan, Talia said, thank you for coming down. What do you want? Colton stepped forward. He looked different than he had at the gym, smaller somehow, less confident. Look, man, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Did we? This whole thing has gotten out of hand. The social media stuff, the job situations. It's affecting a lot of people. People like you. People like all of us. He gestured between himself and Talia. We made some mistakes, but we don't deserve to have our lives destroyed. I looked at Talia. Is that how you see this? Your life being destroyed? Isn't it? She said. I lost my job, my reputation, my marriage. You lost those things when you decided to cheat. I just stopped helping you hide it. We want to make a deal, Colton said. What kind of deal? We'll disappear, leave town. You'll never see us again, but you have to call off your attack dog. My attack dog? Vanessa. She's still posting about us, still digging up dirt. It needs to stop. I looked at them both, my wife of 7 years and her boyfriend of 4 months, standing in my office lobby trying to negotiate their way out of consequences. No, I said. No? Talia's voice cracked. No deal. You made your choices. Live with them. You're destroying innocent people, Colton said, his voice rising. Innocent? I pulled out my phone and showed them Vanessa's latest post. Is this innocent? Screenshots of you bragging about sleeping with married women, photos you took without their consent, evidence of you cheating on your girlfriend with at least 4 different women? Colton's face went red. That snake had no right. That woman had every right to expose a cheating boyfriend. This isn't over, he said. You're right. It's not. I turned and walked back to the elevator, leaving them standing in the lobby. But they weren't done. Tuesday evening, I came home to find my front door standing open and voices shouting inside my house. I called 911 first, then went inside. Talia was in the living room, stuffing items into garbage bags. Colton was in the kitchen, apparently looking through my mail. When they saw me, they both froze. What the hell are you doing? I demanded. Taking what's mine, Talia said. By breaking into my house? It's my house too. Actually, it's not. It's in my name only, remember? You insisted on that for tax purposes. Colton stepped into the living room. Look, we tried to do this the easy way. Get out. We're not leaving until… Get out, or I'm pressing charges for breaking and entering. You can't prove we broke in, Talia said. I still have a key. Had a key. I changed the locks yesterday. I held up my phone. And I have you on camera forcing the door. They looked at each other, realizing their mistake. The police are already on their way, I continued. You have about 3 minutes to leave before this becomes a criminal matter. Talia dropped the garbage bags. Evan, please, 3 minutes. They left, but not before Colton kicked over a potted plant and Talia screamed that I was a vindictive little man who couldn't handle losing. I stood in my doorway and watched them drive away, then called Vanessa. They just broke into my house, I said. Are you okay? I'm fine, but I think it's time for the final phase. Agreed. I have everything ready. Everything? Bank records, phone records, photos, videos, employment records, everything, and I found something else. What? Jenna's been feeding information to someone who's been helping you. I felt a chill. What do you mean? I mean someone's been giving you inside information about Talia's activities. Someone close to her. Who? We'll discuss it tomorrow. But Evan, this goes deeper than we thought. That night, I barely slept. Someone had been helping me, feeding me information, and I had no idea who or why. The answer came the next morning, in the form of a knock on my door. It was Jenna. We need to talk, she said. I let her in, curious. I've been helping you, she said without preamble. What? The information about Talia's schedule, about Colton's other girlfriends, about their plans. I've been feeding it to Vanessa, who's been passing it to you. I stared at her. Why? Because Talia's a snake who had it coming. I don't understand. Jenna sat down on my couch and sighed. Talia's been holding something over me for months. Photos of my affair. She said if I didn't help her cover for her thing with Colton, she'd send them to my husband. So you've been playing both sides. I've been protecting myself. But when she started that whole thing with the photos of you, making fun of you to strangers, that crossed a line. So you decided to help destroy her. I decided to help her destroy herself. Jenna looked at me directly. She did this, Evan. All of it. I just stopped covering for her. And now she's threatening to release my photos anyway because she knows I betrayed her. What do you want from me? I want to finish this, together, before she ruins any more lives. I looked at this woman who had been my enemy and was now offering to be my ally, and made a decision that would change everything. Okay, I said. Let's finish it. The plan was simple, elegant, and absolutely devastating. Vanessa had spent weeks documenting everything, the affair, the lies, the manipulation, the threats, the blackmail. She'd built a case that would destroy not just Talia and Colton, but their entire network of enablers and accomplices. But we needed them all in one place. Talia's birthday party, Jenna said. This Saturday. She's still planning to have it, even after everything. Says she needs normalcy in her life. Where? Murphy's bar. She rented the back room. Who's coming? Everyone. All our friends, some family, even some people from her old job who don't know about the firing yet. Perfect. The party was scheduled for 7 p.m. At 6:45, I walked into Murphy's bar carrying a laptop bag and wearing my best suit. The back room was decorated with balloons and streamers, like a normal birthday party. About 30 people were there, drinking and laughing and having a good time. Talia was in the center of it all, wearing a tight red dress and acting like nothing had happened. When she saw me, the room went quiet. Evan, she said, her voice carefully neutral. I didn't think you were coming. Wouldn't miss it for the world. I walked to the front of the room and connected my laptop to the TV mounted on the wall. "What are you doing?" Talia asked. "I thought I'd give a little presentation, a birthday tribute, you might say." Colton appeared at Talia's side. "You need to leave, man." "Actually, I think everyone needs to stay. This concerns all of you." The first slide appeared on the screen, a photo of Talia and Colton kissing in the gym parking lot. Someone gasped. Several people pulled out their phones. "For those who don't know," I said, addressing the room, "my wife has been having an affair with this gentleman for the past 4 months." "Evan, stop," Talia said, but her voice was weak. The next slide. Screenshots of their text messages, including explicit photos and plans to meet. "But that's not the interesting part," I continued. "The interesting part is how many people knew about it and helped cover it up." More slides, photos of Jenna with her boss, Danny with money that didn't belong to her, various friends who had lied and schemed and enabled the whole thing. "Jesus Christ," someone whispered. "And the really interesting part," I said, clicking to the next slide, "is what they all said about the rest of you when they thought nobody was listening." This slide was a compilation of screenshots and audio recordings. Talia calling her sister desperate and pathetic, Colton referring to the party guests as losers and wannabes, Jenna mocking her husband's erectile dysfunction, Danny laughing about stealing from the charity where she worked. The room erupted. "You recorded us?" Talia screamed. "I documented what you said and did. There's a difference." People were shouting, crying, demanding explanations. Talia's sister slapped her. Danny's fiancé walked out. Someone threw a drink at Colton. "The best part," I said, raising my voice over the chaos, "is that none of this would have come out if you'd just been honest. If you'd asked for a divorce instead of cheating. If you'd treated me with basic human decency instead of making me the punchline to your jokes." Talia was crying now, mascara running down her face. "Please stop." "But you didn't stop. You shared private photos of me. You mocked me to strangers. You called me the smallest man you'd ever known." I clicked to the final slide, a photo of the divorce papers I'd filed that morning. Turns out, the smallest man just made the biggest impact of your life. The room was in complete chaos now. People were yelling, fighting, leaving in disgust. Talia was sobbing in the corner while Colton tried to sneak out the back door. But I wasn't done. "One more thing," I called out, stopping the exodus. "Vanessa Martinez, Colton's ex-girlfriend, is filing a civil lawsuit against him for revenge porn and harassment. Anyone who received or shared intimate photos without consent might want to talk to a lawyer." That cleared the room fast. In the end, it was just me, Talia, and the wreckage of her birthday party. "Are you happy now?" she asked, her voice hoarse from crying. "Happy? No. Satisfied? Absolutely. You destroyed my life." "No, Talia. I just stopped letting you destroy mine." I packed up my laptop and headed for the door. "Evan," she called after me. "What happens now?" I turned back to look at her one last time. My wife of 7 years, sitting alone in a room full of broken balloons and abandoned drinks, finally facing the consequences of her choices. Now you find out what it's like to be the smallest person in the room. I walked out of Murphy's bar and into the rest of my life. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Talia moved to another state with what was left of her savings. Colton lost his lawsuit and his reputation. Jenna's marriage ended, and Danny went to jail for embezzlement. As for me, I kept the house, kept my job, and kept my dignity, and I never let anyone call me the smallest man again.